If you've ever wondered how people actually place sports bets online using platforms like BetRivers Sportsbook, then you're in the right place. In this guide, I'm going to walk you through everything you need to understand about how it works, what you'll see when you open the app or website, how bets are structured, and how beginners typically navigate their first experience. This is not about rushing you or telling you what to do with your money, but instead giving you a clear picture of how the system operates so you don't feel lost when you first see odds, bet slips, and sports markets. BetRivers Sportsbook is an online platform where users can view sports events, explore betting odds, and choose different outcomes of games they're interested in. Think of it like a digital sports hub where every match is broken down into possible predictions. Before anything else, the first thing you usually notice when you enter a sportsbook like BetRivers is the list of sports available. You'll typically see major leagues like football, basketball, baseball, hockey, tennis, and sometimes even smaller leagues or special events. Each sport is organised into upcoming games, live games, and sometimes future scheduled matches. To understand how betting works on a platform like this, you first need to understand odds. Odds are basically numbers that represent how likely something is to happen, and they also determine how much potential return a user might receive if a prediction is correct. For example, if a team is heavily favoured to win, the odds will reflect that, and the potential return will be smaller. On the other hand, if a team is considered less likely to win, the odds are higher, and the potential return appears larger. This balance between risk and reward is the core idea behind sports betting platforms. Once someone selects a sport or a specific game, they are usually shown different betting options for that match. These options can include who will win the game, the total number of points scored, or more detailed predictions like which team will score first or how many goals a player might achieve. Each of these options has its own set of odds attached to it. The platform organises these options so users can browse and choose what interests them most. Now, when someone decides on a prediction, they typically click on the option, and it gets added to something called a bet slip. You can think of the bet slip like a digital shopping cart, except instead of items, it contains your selected predictions. Inside the bet slip, users usually enter how much they would like to stake, which is the amount of money they are willing to risk on that prediction. The system then automatically calculates the possible return based on the odds. Before placing anything, most sportsbooks require users to have an account. This usually involves signing up with an email, creating a password, and sometimes verifying identity depending on your location. Once the account is set up, users may need to deposit funds into their sportsbook wallet. This is usually done through payment methods like debit cards, bank transfers, or other supported online payment systems, depending on the region. After funds are available in the account, users can start exploring bets. One of the most common areas beginners explore is moneyline betting. This simply means choosing which team or player will win a match. It is the most straightforward form of prediction. Another common option is point spreads, which is slightly more complex. In this case, one team is given a virtual advantage or disadvantage to balance the matchup, and users are betting not just on who wins, but how much they win by or lose by. There is also something called totals or over/under betting, where instead of picking a winner, users predict whether the total combined score of both teams will be above or below a certain number. These types of bets are popular because they allow users to focus more on game flow rather than just the final result. Some users also explore parlays, which combine multiple predictions into one single bet. This means that all selected outcomes must be correct in order for the bet to succeed. While parlays can look attractive because of the higher potential returns, they are also more difficult to win because every single selection has to be accurate. This is one of the reasons sportsbooks highlight them prominently, as they are both exciting and risky at the same time. Once a user has chosen their selections and entered their stake, the final step is placing the bet. After confirming, the wager becomes active, and it will either resolve once the game ends or during live betting if it's an ongoing match. Live betting is another major feature on platforms like BetRivers, where odds constantly change as the game progresses. For example, if a team scores early, the odds for certain outcomes will shift immediately to reflect the new situation in the game. The live betting experience is fast-paced and dynamic, and it requires users to constantly watch how the match is unfolding. However, it's important to understand that odds changing in real time does not guarantee any outcome. It simply reflects the updated probability based on what is happening in the match. Another important part of understanding BetRivers Sportsbook is managing your account responsibly. Every user has a dashboard where they can track active bets, view past results, and check their balance. This helps keep everything organised so users can see exactly how their predictions have performed over time. Many platforms also include tools for setting limits, which allow users to control how much they deposit or wager over a certain period. When people first start using sportsbooks, one of the most common mistakes is not fully understanding the odds or placing too many bets at once without strategy. A more balanced approach is usually to take time to understand how different sports behave, how odds shift, and how different bet types function. Even though the platform makes everything look simple on the surface, there is still a layer of probability and unpredictability behind every game. BetRivers also often features promotions or bonuses for new users, which can sometimes include extra funds or free wagers after signing up or making a first deposit. These offers are usually tied to specific conditions, so it's always important to understand the terms behind them. They are designed to give users a starting boost, but they don't remove the risk involved in betting. Security is also a major part of platforms like this. User accounts are typically protected with encryption, and transactions are monitored for safety. This ensures that personal and financial information is kept secure while using the service. Identity verification may also be required to comply with regulations, depending on the region where the user is located. As you spend more time understanding how BetRivers works, you'll notice that everything revolves around interpreting odds, choosing outcomes, and managing risk. It's not about guaranteed results, because sports outcomes are unpredictable by nature. Instead, the platform is built around probability and user decisions. Every choice a user makes is essentially a prediction about how a game might unfold. It's also worth mentioning that emotional control plays a big role in how people experience sports betting platforms. Since games can be exciting and fast-moving, it's easy for users to make impulsive decisions based on short-term results rather than careful thinking. That's why many experienced users take time to study games before making selections rather than reacting quickly to live changes. In the end, BetRivers Sportsbook is designed to be a structured environment where sports fans can engage with games in a different way by making predictions and following outcomes. The interface is built to be simple, but the underlying concept is based on probability, risk, and decision making. If you're new to it, the most important thing is not rushing the process, but understanding how each section works, from odds to bet slips to final results. Once you understand these basics, the entire experience becomes much easier to follow. You begin to recognize how odds shift, how different markets are structured, and how bets are evaluated after games end. Whether someone chooses to actively participate or just learn how it works, the key takeaway is that everything on a sportsbook is driven by data, probability, and real-time sports performance. And that's essentially how BetRivers Sportsbook works from a beginner's perspective.